Just an old bartender. The tavern was quiet save for the slow pop of the fire and the crack of old beams settling in the night. Outside, the rain pattered against the shutters in a lazy rhythm, but inside, the air was thick with the scent of oak smoke and Mouillet wine. A single patron sat on the counter near the hearth, a young historian named Eldrick. His satchel bulged with parchment, quills, and the musty smell of a dozen libraries. He leaned forward, speaking to the bartender, an older man with a limp and eyes the color of weathered wood, while his quill scratched notice onto a page. "I'm collecting accounts of the Battle of Black Hollow," Eldrick began. "Not the ones sung by bards, the real story. And there's one tale that outshines all the rest, the Night of No Name." The bartender chuckled softly as he polished a mug. "That old yarn?" "It's no yarn," Eldrick insisted, excitement sharpening his voice. "The demon lord Avaros rose from the charnel pits that night, wrapped in chains of flame, its breath like molten pitch. The king's army scattered, but one knight, anonymous in every record, stood his ground. Alone. The old man poured him a drink. And how do you suppose it went?" Eldrick put down his quill and took a long sip, then launched into the telling. "They say the knight's armor was battered from a dozen wars, his sword nicked and dulled. But they waded into the firestorm, driving the demon back blow for blow. Avaros split the earth open with his claws, belching smoke and ash. The knight was hurled into a chasme, but climbed out, one arm burnt to a crisp, and still fought on. Witnesses claimed his final strike was impossible. He drove his sword straight through Avaros' skull, though the demon's hide was harder than iron. The blade shattered, but the knight rammed the jagged hilt home with his bare hands until the beast fell silent. And then, Eldrick leaned in, voice dropping, before anyone could speak his name, he vanished. Left the field. Never returned to the court or claimed a reward." The bartender listened without interruption, setting down the mug and leaning on the counter. "And you think this Nameless Knight was real?" "I know it," Eldrick said, tapping his notice. "The way the old records describe him, his limp, the scar over his brow, the way his eyes seemed. Old, even then, it's too distinct. If I could find him, I'd give him the credit he deserves." For the first time, the bartender's mouth curled into a small, knowing smile. "And what would you say, if you did?" Eldrick grinned. "I'd buy him a drink. Thank him for saving the realm." The bartender put a fresh mug on the counter, smiled, and raised the mug high as he drank it all. His sleeve rolled up slightly, revealing a faded burn scar circling his arm like an old chain. His still gray eyes caught the firelight, gleaming for just a heartbeat. "A bit awkward," the old man said, putting down his mug, "to offer to buy the bartender one of his own drinks, but I will take your offer." The rain outside suddenly felt very far away.